How much do you want, bro? You already made 100 million. If you look at the earnings of a person throughout their lifetime, look it up right now. And some people don't make that their whole life, and you made 100 million. How much you trying to get, my boy?
All right, man, welcome back to another video. Hope your day is going good. And in today's video, things are getting worse for Chauncey Billups. Yeah, man. So in light of what we just released, y'all seen it. We just put it out because Terry Rozier made the cover. And now Chauncey Billups was one of the names that the FBI had gotten in and arrested.
Sports fan, you got to take a listen to this. Several NBA players and even coaches have been arrested today by the FBI because they participated in an illegal gambling scheme and were colluding with the mafia.
What?
The mafia.
On October 23rd, 2025, the NBA would get its biggest wake-up calls. A multitude of people would be arrested this day.
2K26 cover. You think we see that?
Chauncey
OJ
Billups, current Portland Trail Blazers head coach and NBA Hall of Famer, and he was arrested in Oregon. And Terry Rozier, current player for the Miami Heat, who was arrested in Orlando, Florida.
Scary Terry
were arrested for gambling, but under two different circumstances. Let's first deal with Terry Rozier.
Take a listen. March 3rd, Terry Rozier, he told his friends and some confidants that he would check out of an NBA game. As a result, they placed $200,000 worth of wagers on his under. Well, 9 minutes into the game, Terry Rozier left the game with an alleged injury. They won tens of thousands of dollars on that gambling bet, and they went back to his house to count the money. Damn.
That's crazy.
In the case of Terry Rozier, he was playing for the Charlotte Hornets in 2023. As you heard, he told somebody that he would take himself out of the game, ensuring that his team would lose. Now, Terry Rozier is a pretty good player, and he scores a lot of points. So if he wasn't playing that game, he would understand that.
bro is also making $20 million.
What?
Throwing it all away for some peanuts.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, my team wouldn't be able to be successful. After that, they would go to his house and count up $200,000 in winnings. That's the first charge. But then there's the problem with Chauncey Billups.
The second big investigation, Operation Royal Flush, involving Trailblazers coach Chauncey Billups, player Terry Rozier again, and Damon Jones in an underground illegal poker ring. This involved several organized crime families associated with La Cosa Nostra. Basically, prosecutors allege the celebrity athletes were used to lure unsuspecting gamblers to these poker games where the mafia had modified card shuffling machines, barcoded the decks, had cameras built into the tables and light fixtures. The dealers were in on it. The athletes, they allege, made the games look legitimate. Prosecutors say one victim alone lost $1.8 million. But in total, this ring brought in tens of millions. And then when people refused to pay,
how much did they
prosecutors
get?
say the defendants did what organized crime always does, threaten violence.
Now, with Chauncey Billups, this is a whole other story. You see, Chauncey Billups was getting, people that were high net worth to bet on certain games. And these games are poker tables, had the mob involved in. Basically, there were cameras around and, the games were rigged. People could see the hands that are being dealt. And these guys were losing a lot of money. And if they did not want to pay, well, you already know how the mob gets down, right? And then there's a testimony about it.
This must have been like 5 years ago, 2019-ish, I think, where there was this game. It started in LA and then it came to Vegas for a few days, and it was all built around Chauncey Billups. And the person who told me about it was like, look, I know the game runners. I'm telling you 100% this game is on the up and up. And I was like, well, I know a lot of the people that are involved, and I'm telling you 100% that it is not. I had some friends who went and played it both in LA and in Vegas, and it obviously was for sure confirmed to be cheated. Like, people who clearly didn't even understand the rules of No Limit Hold'em are just jamming hundreds of big blinds in with a gutty and then just drilling it. Only the pros are losing. It was, it was basically confirmed amongst all of the pros that the game was cheated, but there's just no recourse.
Gotcha.
And, they got absolutely filleted.
So basically, Chauncey Billups was setting up these guys to play at these tables. And if they didn't pay, they would get threatened. And they had no recourse. Like, they were stuck with this loss. Now, gambling is something that happens in the NBA community. We understand in the sports community, people like Pete Rose, the legendary baseball player, he bet on sports while coaching for the Cincinnati Reds. And, people have bet, Michael Jordan has gambled, although not on games. And that is a difference. If you want to gamble, that's one thing. But betting on games is another. And that is why this is such a bad thing, especially with, the NBA already losing ratings and people feeling that it's all rigged. And then people are starting to make their opinions about it.
I'm ashamed that those guys would put their families and their careers in jeopardy. There's an old saying in the hood, all money ain't good money. So if you're making $9 million and you're dealing in certain things, like how much more do you need? Especially if you get caught, you can do jail time, lose your career. Now, I understand what some people are going to say, because Shaquille O'Neal is basically saying, listen, I know Damon Jones, and he's one of the guys implicated in this. I know Chauncey Billups, and, all money ain't good money. And, you're already making a lot of money in the NBA, so you don't really need this money in what you're betting on. Now, some people are going to come against Shaq and say, hey, bro, why are you speaking out against these guys? That's not cool. They're guilty until proven innocent. But I believe that Shaquille O'Neal and many other guys understand that, yes, corruption in sports is there and that guys are actively in this. And this is kind of what I want to deal with when it comes to greed. When you're in the NBA and you have the connections that these guys have, you don't really need to do any of this stuff. Look at Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas is a great example. Gilbert Arenas was doing all of this gambling allegedly in at his house,
and he
Gil's
got a
Arena,
podcast and a YouTube channel,
and doing the same things that these guys are talking about. The difference between
and it's like, bro, how much do you want, bro? You already made $100 million. If you look at the earnings of a person throughout their lifetime, look it up right now. If some people don't make that their whole life, and you made $100 million, how much you trying to get, my boy?
Gilbert Arenas is that he wasn't doing
it really just for the thrill game, because at this point it's like there's no other reason to do it.
For sure,
it's the thrill, because it can't be for the money. That's peanuts.
Yeah,
he gonna spend it off in one night.
Damn right.
It on NBA games,
he's trying to get to the
but
next
he was
level.
doing it at his house. Gilbert Arenas was able to start a podcast, and sell part of that podcast and get millions of dollars within a few months. Now, we're not saying that every NBA player can, leverage a podcast or something like that. But what we are saying is that NBA players do have opportunities. And we've seen so many guys such as Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, invest their money into business and leverage their opportunities to do more. This is what NBA players can do, but some NBA players don't take the opportunities to look at doing things the right way. And even when you have an opportunity to coach like Chauncey Billups, if this is true, you have the opportunity like Terry Rozier to play in the NBA. You're literally making millions of dollars a year, and you're willing to throw your millions of dollars a year career or your earnings away for $200,000 in cash, and then risk being kicked out of the league, risk being banned from the league. I mean, somebody like Chauncey Billups, you're in the NBA or basketball, rather, Hall of Fame. You're going to get kicked out of the Hall of Fame, and you'll never be able to come back around the game again. And I kind of want to talk about the kind of short-term thinking that some people have, especially in the black community. And I see this not only with people that are just considered poor. And again, I'm living in Africa, so I see it all the time. But you see short-term thinking with people who have a lot of money. And you wouldn't think that that would be the case, but in actuality, it is the case. a lot of people who have money, who have excessive wealth, they always think that because of what they have went through, that, you know what, if I don't get this money now, I'm not gonna have it. And they can point to cases where they've had millions of dollars, brand deals, homes, jets, but because they are in that survivalist mentality all the time, they can't see opportunity. And you can't tell me if Chauncey Billups was guilty of this, that he didn't really see real opportunity in a merit-based world. He played in an NBA, he has an NBA, head coaching position, he's making tons of money. Obviously, he would be able to do, other things, but basically, if he's been on that survivalism mentality his entire life, it doesn't really matter that he has access. It doesn't really matter that he has money because he's just surviving. And unfortunately, when you're surviving and you're greedy, you're not thinking about, what is to come in the future. You're willing to leverage your future for just a few bucks. And we already see that with some of our friends. Let me give you an example. How many of you guys have been in a friendship with somebody and for whatever reason, everything is cool. Somebody wants to borrow $50, right? Something small. They borrowed the $50 from you. They say, I'm gonna pay you next week. Do they pay you next week? No, they don't pay you next week. They do everything but pay you next week. And you got to run around for your money. And then when you talk to them, they'll turn around. Man, it's only $50, bro. Why you bother me about it?
What?
But you asked me for the money and now you don't want to give it to me. Like, this kind of stuff happens all the time, right? And then, that person who you thought was cool, they have basically sold their ass.
Bro, rule of thumb, man, don't ever give nobody money that you're not willing to let go of. Come on, man. Why are we even hunting down $50? Now you're in a mindset of scarcity. I get it. It's the principle. My dad taught me something. Don't give nobody shit you're not willing to let go of. Because a lot of times we give it away and then we have some kind of expectation for it back. Yeah. That's what causes the strife and the animosity. But if you just gave it to him like, all right, it is what it is. It's not giving it away like you gave it to a homeless. You wouldn't expect the homeless person.
Of course not.
It's how you got to treat it.
For $50, and of course, it's not uncommon that person will need help again, and you're just completely turned off from that person. And you know what? For just $50, you have bought them for the rest of their life, and so they can never get money from you anymore. You never take them seriously anymore, and that's it. So for $50, they've sold their ass. It's the same thing for these guys in the NBA. For $200,000, they've sold their behind. For their reputation, they've sold their behind. And then now you took that quick money and you're not even thinking about your future. And a lot of times when you get people who think about things in this manner, they don't think about their family. They don't think about their kids. They don't think about their future business partners. They don't feel like, oh, okay, well, I made a mistake and, now I'm sorry, but, I can't, remove that mistake. And that stain sticks on you for the rest of your life. And you made a mistake and you can't apologize for it because people are now done with you. You now become a person that can't be trustworthy. So I urge everybody, before you make a decision, and just because, that money is there, always remember what Shaq said. All money ain't good money. It's not worth ruining your name. Again, I'm a person that sees scams all the time in the Black community. People like Dr. Umar Johnson, and they'll do anything they can to cash app it up and then get some money here or there. They're just thinking about tomorrow.
PayPal in the description. Link down below. Down below.
Well, what happens over time? People just don't take you seriously, and you ruin your reputation forever, and then that's that. And then once you ruin your reputation, you can never fully get it back. And instead of just being solid and just doing things the right way. Guys, these people, the feds, the COVID scammers, all those people, you're not going to beat them. Once they get you, the feds has like a 99 or 98%, conviction rate. You're done. And once they come to you and they arrest you, they have pounds of evidence. They got phone records. They got text messages. They have everything. And then once they have all of that, you're pretty much done. All right. And then the money that you made from your illicit dealings, if you would have did things the right way anyway, you would have made way more money in the illicit things. You see, you would have been so much better off by not doing that. You would have been rich anyway. Woo! Like, just think about the dude who sold drugs and he's in jail for like 15 years. If he wouldn't have sold the drugs, in 15 years, he would have found out how to make money legally, and he would have made more money than the 15 years he did in drugs, which he only made once. And they still had to come back and then find a way to take that money from him because his ass was down bad. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Dude Jackson back at it again.
15 years you spent in jail, you'd have spent 15 years figuring out how to make money a different way. And then you coming out, you think you just gonna have the money. Your boys probably went into your stash and took your shit. Now you gotta fight it. Go legit.
That's why you gotta be grateful of the things that you have. Was up 20 million. Now, ain't no telling what your future is, bro. You can end up in jail for the rest of your life. You never know. Our boy just gotta be grateful.
Y'all made it to the end of another video. Love y'all. Great for y'all, man. Binge the rest of the videos on the channel. Y'all already know. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Yeah.